It's a dark and gloomy night somewhere in rural Scotland. We are talking about the movie Let Us Pray. Now that's a pray with an E, not with an A. A 2014 movie directed by Brian O'Malley, stars Liam Cunningham and Pollyanna McIntosh. Liam Cunningham you probably know most from Game of Thrones more recently. Pollyanna McIntosh was in The Woman, also I reviewed White Settler, she was also in that. Now I'll give you the brief two-line description of this movie because it if I talk about it too much, it will kind of give away the plot. Held in a remote police station, a mysterious stranger takes over the minds and the souls of everyone inside. So really basically it focuses on really two characters. This kind of mysterious stranger played by Liam Cunningham. Now we as the audience know he's some kind of supernatural being. There's some debate about who he might be. Could he be Lucifer? Could he be Cain? Could he be something else? Anyway, he turns up at this kind of police station. Obviously, you've got a few kind of police personnel inside. One of them played by Pollyanna McIntosh, who is this kind of new policewoman, basically, in this new town, and a bunch of prisoners as well. And he essentially really sort of gets inside of these people's heads, and we find out that all of these people have hiding some kind of dark secret. And that it really kind of brings it to the forefront of their mind and makes them kind of sort of face their demons, so to speak, and how they can react to it. And Liam Cunningham's character is sort of kind of facilitates this really, and is the kind of the puppet master, sort of pulling the strings. So it's kind of a psychological horror. I won't go too much more into the plot other than what I've just sort of said. It's certainly an interesting kind of character study about the horrors that human can bring about their own kind, really, looking at these various kind of people. Like I said, this film certainly leaves some questions, I would say. So if you like a movie that's kind of tied up in a neat little bow, I feel this movie will kind of leave you with burning questions. Having a look at some of the chat rooms about this film, there are some discussions about what's going on. I won't kind of discuss it here. Suffice to say that it kind of leaves you with some kind of questions. I did enjoy this film. I thought it was a well-made, tight psychological thriller, and it's somewhat shocking. I felt it kind of maybe went a little bit too far at times in regards to, I felt that this particular group of people, considering how they all kind of knew each other, were a little bit too OTT in some aspects, I felt. I mean, again, there's some debate about where they are specifically, but to be honest with you, it's not like they're a bunch of strangers. These people, aside from Pollyanna McIntosh's character, have all kind of known each other, we assume, for a long time. So some of the depraved things that these people have done, I find that a little bit hard to believe that they're all in one kind of place. But anyway, I guess that's kind of a nitpick. But I have to say, this is a well-made film. It's certainly one that you enjoy. As you peel back the layers of the story, you'll kind of find out kind of more things that kind of scary and kind of a little bit more depraved. I felt the end game of this film is somewhat predictable, and you can kind of guess where it's going to end up to a certain degree, even though this film does still leave you with a lot of questions. But it's not really an action film. There are some kind of scenes of violence in it, certainly, and I felt some of it is shot in a way that it makes it kind of somewhat disturbing. I would actually certainly recommend this film if you like a bit more of a non-sort of typical kind of linear horror film. I thought the performances were good. I think Liam Cunningham especially, it was fantastic as this kind of in a way you can't really call him a bad guy, because he just kind of facilitates what people have already done, but he was engaging, and it's definitely on the kind of the menacing side. I wasn't so keen on the ending, I have to say. I felt it kind of was a little bit odd. It reminded me of Ghost Rider, of all things. Once you see it, you may know what I'm talking about, but I can't discuss it here, obviously. But nonetheless, this was an interesting horror film, certainly a different kind of plot, even though I still felt it was somewhat predictable. But I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a decent horror film. Go check it out, especially if you're a fan of the Onion Knight from Game of Thrones. You're going to like Liam Cunningham in this movie. He's very watchable. So 7.5 for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.